explained before, the medical profile of patients with coronavirus is very wide. You see some infections that are asymptomatic. In other words, you'll be infected and you will not even know that you're infected. There are some that will be infected and you have a very mild disease. So you might have a fever and a mild cough, some body pains. You may be infected and have moderate disease. In other words, you are feeling generally unwell, weak, high fever, prolonged fever, loss of appetite, coughing. And then the severe cases where it affects the organs, particularly the lungs, you might experience difficulty breathing. And those are the patients that we describe as critical, because without support, they may deteriorate. And it is out of this group that we tend to see the deaths. Right now in Lagos, although it's still a numbers game, we are just about hitting the 100 mark. We have only seen 1 or 2 patients that are in what we would describe the moderate to severe range. In other words, they have difficulty breathing. And we're supporting them with oxygen. If that doesn't work, we may have to ventilate them. But right now, they're stable on oxygen. And so it leaves the majority of patients are asymptomatic, mild or moderate, and they just require gentle, supportive care. The reason they're in hospital is because we're isolating them for community. Otherwise, normally, they would not require admission. As our numbers increase, we may see some more critical cases, and of those critical cases, as you see on the television around the world, some patients may deteriorate beyond the point that we can salvage them, and that results in death. So far, we have not seen that picture yet in Lagos State. So our profile, from the numbers we have, we don't have many numbers, like Europe, that have thousands and thousands of cases, so it is difficult for us to deduce statistically. But based on what we're seeing, it appears we generally have a mild to moderate disease profile for COVID-19 illness. Elimination of the outbreak, well, as you can see, all outbreaks eventually burn out. So an infection cannot keep going. It runs out of victims. And once it has passed through a community, it will stop infecting because people will have developed immunity to the infection. So an outbreak doesn't just keep going. It runs out of persons that it can infect, which is why social distancing is so effective, because we accelerate the point at which the virus can no longer infect people without the virus having infected the entire community. It appears now that we're seeing more local transmission, since we don't have imported cases anymore. The first phase of that was contacts with the imported cases, and now we're seeing random cases in society, which means that they are 3rd or 4th or 5th generation transmission, removed from the contact of the imported case. When we're looking at nationality, 91% of our cases are Nigerians and 9% are foreign nationals. So at the moment, we're still operating from the Yaba Mainland Hospital, the infectious disease hospital in Yaba. We still have adequate bed space because as we admit, we are also discharging. So we have we've reached about 70% capacity at the Yaba Hospital. We are looking to open the Bagada Isolation Hospital next week, and we're also looking to commission the Onikon tent at the Onikon Stadium next week. So that will bring into commission 2 more isolation facilities, which will give us a total bed space, isolation bed space of about 300. After that, there are other projects that will be commissioned, and we're looking at a total of 6 isolation facilities in the next month. We're carrying on training on a weekly basis because we need the medical personnel that are going to man these additional isolation facilities. And we're training both doctors, nurses, hygienists, and general ward attendants. And that training is carrying on as we speak. In fact, in this hospital right now, there's a training session going on. So, access to personal protection equipment, we have adequate stocks. Our testing has been increased. We're now testing at 3 sites independently. That is the Infectious Disease Hospital, the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, and the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. And we're testing between 200 and 300 tests a day. So we're ramping up capacity across the board. The impact of social distancing plus our contact tracing and isolation of positive cases seems to be slowing down the steep of the curve. In other words, we are achieving some degree of bending the curve or flattening the curve. Our mathematical model, if we had not carried out any of these 2 interventions, would have shown a very steep rise in cases. But right now, we are averaging between 6 and sometimes 10 and sometimes 15 cases per day. We would have been seeing a lot more cases per day had these interventions not been put in place. So our modeling suggests that the graph is flattening, and that is giving us the time to put certain things in place and to be able to accommodate most of our patients. The profile of our patients still remains mild, some few moderate, and very few severe. And so far, we have had no mortality in Lagos. We have had 100% recovery out of 24 patients that have been discharged. Thank you very much.